Hello Fang Gang, it is time for another week of madness. This week I actually read a lot more than last week. Also, just so you know, these videos are a little bit behind, so this is the week, what was last week? The 7th to the, what was it? The 7th to like the, what was last week? Yeah, from what day to what day? The 7th to the 14th or something like that? Yeah, well, to Sunday. I go Monday to Sunday. That's how I count my weeks.
Sunday would have been 6th to 13th.
The 6th to the 13th? Oh, okay, maybe I do go to Sunday then. So 7th to the 14th. Okay. So yeah, so I don't know what the weeks are anymore. It all loses meaning when you're reading as many comics as I am. That being said, let's get to it because I got a lot of comics to tell you about. Alright friends, so to start off, this was the week that I actually finished AXE, so announcement, AXE spoilers ahead for us. So the first thing that I read was Legion of X issue number 6. In this issue, Legion faces the Progenitor's judgment, but also faces his own judgment as well, which is really more important for Legion here. This issue was visually really stunning. Rafael Pimentel and Federico Blee do great work here with both the art and the colors, and the story was pretty cool too. I'm really liking this current structure for the story that we get in this one, where we get to like go back and explain why things happened the way they did in the main book, which was kind of also what happened with the Immortal X-Men issue around Nightcrawler. It's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, and it helps make sense of so many things. I thought Legion died, so I'm also glad that that wasn't true, which that's what we find out in this issue. Yay! And moving right along, we've got Fantastic Four issue number 48. In this issue, Oubliette, now revealed, continues her attack on the Baxter building. Reed figures out the answer to the Progenitor's attack on Earth, kind of, and that's pretty much what happens. I personally think I may have to go back and read all of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run, and now I also might have to add Ryan North's FF to my pull list as well, at least for the first few issues, because next year I'm going to try to read more indie comics, so I'm gonna have to cut some stuff off my pull list. Popose also did a great job with this interim story in between the runs. I really liked it. I really love that all the FF got judged as a group, and that Reed realized solving the problem wasn't what needed doing. Spending time with his fam was more important. That was super cute, and it's a really great character growth turnaround to kind of see for Reed, who, you know, he's usually all about solving problems, not hanging out with his family. And moving on to Captain Marvel issue number 42, another smash hit from Kelly Thompson, where Carol and her sister and Chewie all get judged. And I'd say pretty fairly too, as well. I agree that they're all pretty fairly judged in this one. Also, this is another series I've been meaning to go back and read from issue 1. Every time I dip into what's happening with Carol in current comics, I just love it, and this was no exception. Also, L'Oreal tearing up at seeing their mom, Marielle, again in the form of the Progenitor. Oh, it made me tear up. I know an issue is good when it makes me feel emotions. Next up, we have X-Force issue number 33. Here, Kraven continues his hunt at the Point after trapping Beast, his bait, and Wolverine, his prey, in the Shadow Room. Fortunately, Sage, Omega Red, and Deadpool come to their rescue. You might want to wait till the end of AXE before you read this one, because it's got a major spoiler in it. That's what I'm gonna say. Also, X-Force and Wolverine are doing some weird things right now, those series. I don't know. I also went way back and I read The Black Order issue number 1, which I've had in my bin forever. The Black Order takes a job from the Grand Master in this issue. I really got a sense initially when I started reading this that I wasn't gonna like it, but by the end of the issue I found myself super interested in what would happen next. I feel like this is a hard comic series to make work with the Black Order and them being sort of the main characters, but I also love all the characters and how they're portrayed and kind of we learn more about them. And everyone in this is pretty much a badass, so that's always really fun. We've got Wolverine patch number 5, which is the end to this mini-series that takes us back in time to when Wolverine was Patch. After much snickting, Patch saves the day and successfully gets the Russian runaway mutants to safety. S.H.I.E.L.D. intercepts them, and while Patch is ready to fight S.H.I.E.L.D. off, they reveal that they actually plan to give the mutants over to New Zealand, who have agreed to basically provide sanctuary for the mutants, giving them new secret identities and protecting them against those who would attempt to capture and use them for their own gain. I liked seeing Archie and Tiger again, and of course Patch. However, some of the classic page-turning drama seems to feel a bit faded in this flashback story. I don't know if it's because, you know, we kind of know what's going to happen next because this is a story that takes place in the interim of the series. I don't know, it's just missing that spark of intrigue of the classic Wolverine series, despite being also written by Larry Hama, who, you know, writes a good Wolverine story. I don't know. Next up, we have Marvel free previews, Captain Marvel, which is also from 2019. Look, friends, I got some old issues in here that I keep skipping, so I've gone back and read some of those. This basically just has a few interviews and some previews in Captain Marvel related stories, as well as a look at Marvel Rising Secret Warriors with Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. So yeah, this was just more reminders for me to read Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel run. Yeah. Updating where I am in Wolverine, we have Wolverine issue number 26. Wolverine and Jeff Bannister are hot on the trail of the Legacy House, an auction house operating on the black market that often auctions off superhero and villain paraphernalia, and sometimes literally their body parts. Unfortunately, they step right into a trap laid for them by the house itself, with Wolverine ending up on auction. Kind of again. That already happened and we're back to it. With tensions running high between Wolverine and Beast, Beast shows up to bid, but not in an effort to save Wolverine, but instead to possibly kill him. Dun dun dun, cliffhanger ending. I have been loving this Wolverine series in general, but this issue, it felt a little meh to me. But I'm thinking that's because it's gonna set up the next arc that's coming our way, the Beast agenda, but I'm also not sure how I feel about this artwork by Juan Jose. I kind of love it at moments, and then at other moments I like really don't like it at all. So that's interesting to me. It's definitely really interesting artwork. It's making me think. I do love Jeff Bannister showing up again in this. I love Jeff Bannister. He's a cool character. Very interesting that Wolverine gave Jeff's daughter Wade's disembodied finger, Deadpool's disembodied finger, so that she can return to Krakoa. I think that's wild. I hope that comes up again and is a big deal, because it feels like a big deal. Moving on, we once again are going back in time to some of my old comics I have in the bin. Care Bears Unlock the Magic, issue number 1. Totally different pace from Wolverine. On their day off, the Care Bears have to deal with a situation that is developing in the glass glaciers, where the Whiffles there have stopped their work of polishing the glaciers so that visitors can gaze upon the reflected versions of who they most want to be. Super cute story. I kind of really liked this one, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to know what happens with like evil Grumpy in the next issue. It was cute overall, and I really like Grumpy, and this reminded me of how much I love the Care Bears. And heading back to Judgment Day, we have AXE Judgment Day number 6. Here, the progenitor makes its final judgment. I really liked this event. It made me feel feelings, all the way through, including in this issue. Now all that is left is the last issue, the denouement of the series, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I gotta say, this was just a good character development, I think, event. It didn't change the whole world, but there was a lot of insight into characters we got to see and their growth, which is really cool. Heading back to the really weird spacey world of Marauders right now, Marauders issue number 7. We learn the story of the Threshold through the 3 refugees who survived the biological warfare that ensued by encapsulating themselves, and now, having been rescued and resurrected, returning to life in the modern day. I'm interested to see where this goes next. I really hope this team gets a good amount of time to develop. I'm a little nervous for the Marauders right now, I'm not gonna say. I feel like this series could get cancelled, but I really like this team, so fingers crossed this story is really good, as we're getting into it now. And back to AXE, that issue I was saying, which is gonna sort of wrap everything up. AXE Judgment Day Omega issue number 1. Some Eternals became Ajax's heretics, and are trying to repent, while others remain allied with the Prime Eternal Zuras. Some who have passed on get to say bye. That's pretty much what happens. A very good button on the end of the event, I personally think. I'm interested to see how the mutants incorporate human resurrections, and also Arako's process of rebuilding. I'm also interested to see what happens with the Eternals. I'm really gonna miss their series, so I don't know where we're gonna get to find out what happens to them, but I hope we get more of the Eternals, because Kieran Gillen's series was really good, and I wish it was still going. And moving on to some indie comics. That's right, friends, indie comics. This is one that I think I'm gonna have to just permanently add to my pull list. Dark Ride issue number 1. A new employee and fan joins the team of Devil's Land theme park. That's pretty much what happens in the issue. Well, it wasn't what I expected to happen. It has a lot of twists and turns, so if you love that, you would love Dark Ride. And I also love, there's a character in this that's like a YouTuber who basically is used for like exposition setup, and I was like, man, I hope we still see more of this guy. And we're gonna talk about Dark Ride issue 2, so you're gonna find out. Do we see more of him? He's great. Moving right along to Dark Ride issue number 2 and answer those questions. Sam attempts to make a play to save the park, while Halloween gets inspiration from a dream in regards to her own plans to save it. Hot on the trail of her brother, Owen, his sister, infiltrates the park to discover what really happened to him. The demonic voice keeps on whispering in the ears of those willing to hear it. This issue was just as good as the first issue, if not, I think it's actually better. I love that they brought back the YouTuber Theo, so yeah, that did happen and it was amazing. And I also love that we didn't lose Owen's tragic origins, as now it seems his sister is here to crack the case surrounding what really happened to her brother, so we're still gonna get to learn more about the two of them and hopefully their family, and possibly her connection to Sam, because I think they have a connection. I'm also interested to learn more about Samaine and Halloween's relationship and their brother-sister dynamic. Very interesting. Also, what is going to happen to Autumn? I need to read the next issue of this. Oh, this series is so good. Go read it right now. Pause this, read it, come back. Marauders issue number 8 is coming up next. Back to this strange spacey story. What will happen? Time traveling, going to the past, saving mutants that we didn't know existed. Kate and the Marauders prepare to go back in time and do all of that. They all amalgamate with a mass and use all their gifts to travel back in time to the era of the first mutants, venturing to Threshold. However, the two sentient viruses might prove more than they can handle. Also, one of these viruses, Sublime, has come up in the comics before. I can't remember now, but I was thinking about that earlier today and it's kind of cool. I just learned that and I was like, man, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Can't believe they actually just did that as well. Of course, everything is going to go sideways and I'm starting to think, you know, they probably should have listened to Cassandra Nova. It's a weird thought to have, but Cassandra Nova was right, I think. Heading back to the weirdness that is Wolverine. Oh boy, Wolverine issue number 27. Wolverine is actually killed by Beast, something I did not think was going to happen, who pays to murder him during the auction, literally. And this allows Beast to resurrect Wolverine, putting him under his own control using some kind of obedience Krakoan mind control collar or something like that. It's like a wreath. I don't know about this. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this is what's going on right now in Wolverine, and also X-Force, and also how Wolverine kind of became X-Force, and how X-Force at one point became Wolverine, and those series have, I mean, I know they're both Benjamin Percy, but like, what is happening? And what is happening with Beast? Where are my Hank fans at? Are you upset? Are you loving this? I don't know, let me know in the comments. Alright, we're going back in time again to Batman Annual 2021. Ghostmaker takes the fight to Madame Midas. It took me so long to get the last chapter in this story. It's been a while, but I remember why I was so excited about it, and boy did it deliver, despite the wait. I loved this glimpse into Ghostmaker's backstory. Minqua is such a good character and I just want more of Ghostmaker, so good. We've also got Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Flashpoint issue number 1, Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne finally wins and he'll stop at nothing to make the world his own version of paradise. This fully robo version of Victor Stone is super cool. I wish we saw more of him. I love the fight between Superman and Eobard here. It's also super cool and really well written and drawn. Transformers Ghostbusters issue number 1 is up next. We learn about the destruction of Cybertron and the Decepticons and how it was weirdly a lot like the end of the first Ghostbusters film for some reason. Eons later, the Transformers are out in space and they find a signal on Earth. Ectronymous Diamatron heads out to the planet's surface to investigate and finds an Autobot, Ghost, and the Ghostbusters. Surprisingly, I quite enjoyed this. Eric Burnham nailed the voices of all these characters perfectly with his writing, and I was reminded of why I love Bumblebee so much, so that was nice. Star Pig, issue number 1. Wow, I loved this series. Bess is on her way to space camp when the spaceship she is on hits a field of asteroids. While everyone else perishes in the crash, she gets miraculously saved by a giant tardigrade, who has recently escaped a laboratory where scientists conducted awful and painful experiments on them. Oh no. Alive for now, Vess and the tardigrade then get picked up by an alien scavenger who just so happens to be obsessed with Earth, America, and American culture through history. This book was way better than I would have ever expected, and I did add it to my reading list. That's how good it was, so I gotta go back and read it. All of it. Free Comic Book Day Avengers/Savage Avengers 2019 is also something I read. Iron Man time travels back to the prehistoric age or possibly before and meets the Avengers from 1 million BC. Somewhere a team of Avengers approaches a planet covered in the mark of the Star Brand, and then in the Secret Avengers story, Wolverine aims to rescue an old friend from the Hand, learning he is being kept in the Savage Land. Meanwhile, Elektra also seems to be hot on the trail for her own purposes. Oddly enough, I liked the Savage Avengers story quite a bit more, and I'm wondering now, do I need to read Savage Avengers? Usagi Yojimbo number 1 is another thing that I read. One of the oldest characters around, Usagi Yojimbo, attends a puppet play in this story, but it seems something sinister might be going on at the playhouse. Meanwhile, Sasuke defeats a demon before being called to the same place as evil seems to be afoot. Yojimbo and Sasuke head to an inn to discuss likely the evil brewing in the theater, which is probably where the next issue would pick up. I quite like this. I like how fast everything is. It's a nice quick read with lots of action, so if you're into that, I would check it out. She-Hulk issue number 7. Man, I love this series. I need to do a whole series on this series on YouTube. She-Hulk and Jack share a morning after. Jen takes on a new and interesting robot client in secret. She-Hulk offers some help and finds herself being taken advantage of. The secret of Jack of Hearts' return is possibly about to be revealed. Wow, what can I say? This series continues to be amazing. It's an 11 out of 10. I feel like I need to just talk more about it. It's so good. And Sabretooth and the Exiles issue number 1. The Exiles continue in pursuit of Sabretooth. Sabretooth finds himself in a new kind of prison. The creation is born. I really love Sabretooth, and I think I might love the Exiles more. I think this may be my new favorite book after Hellions for my X books. And that's saying something, because it would be bumping Marauders Volume 1, which was amazing. So yeah. It's really good. Demon Wars, the Iron Samurai issue number 1. Oh, I love everything that is Peach Momoko. Mariko gets pulled back into the world of the Oni and the spirits. Goodness, this has to be one of the most stunning series of comics ever. It's just so beautiful. I'm still so in love with this whole world that Peach Momoko continues to create. It's one of the prettiest comics I've read this year, hands down. It's really good. And that's all we have for today. Wow, I read a lot of things. I gotta go read more, so I'll see you in the next video. And until then, stay nerdy, friends. Bye.